So now Juan Manuel's asking, what's your opinion on Bryce Fitzgerald? Gabby Urrutia says he's looking fantastic. Could there be an offensive package for Fitzgerald? Speed and explosiveness on the field. Pete, I know this is your guy, so I'll let you start on Fitzgerald, who's now a 3-time state champion, basketball state championship at Belen, where he was a big contributor on the.
You have to mention that every time. He would have had two at Columbus if he wasn't focusing on football.
4x1 champion in track at Columbus, and then football state champ at Columbus. So what can you tell me about Bryce? I know this is your guy.
I've said it. We've talked about him, lacking physicality, right? He's not someone who's gonna be a thumper, right? But the people that I've talked to, at least from the basketball side, say he was a very tenacious defender, and I think that his skill set could, obviously he's got the range to play safety, but I think, and we talked about this the other day, D, I think corner could really be the spot for him, because I think he's physical enough. He's got to be obviously willing to come up and tackle, but I've already seen him put some of that size on. From what I understand, has been working. Has pretty much been on the program that he would be on at Miami this spring up until, obviously he's now on campus, but he was working out like he was on campus already, right? So he had a chance to play basketball. He could have gone on and at first, I think from what I understand, he was going to play, but decided, you know what? I'm not playing basketball at the next level. I'm going to get my body right. And he came in a very good spot from that point of view. He's filled out now, and I think you'll continue to see that. Obviously, he has the speed, but I think we have kind of forgotten about him in a sense because he wasn't here in January. But you see, the range is ridiculous here.
Yeah. And basketball defense, to me, what it translates most to, and you kind of alluded to this, Pete, is cornerback. I think back to Corn Elder. Remember Corn Elder playing basketball, right? Those guys, like when you're playing defense as a guard in basketball, it's all about change of direction. Length comes into play, which comes into play at corner as well. Using your hands, right? All this comes into guard defense, right? So
I have this. So a buddy of mine coached at Columbus. This is the scouting report from Friday, August 16th. Right, because I asked him. I said, "Give me a scouting report."
August 16th last year.
Last year, yeah. So I asked him for a scouting report that I could drop on the podcast. He said he's a dog, elite athlete, shifty, strong, and can get to the rim. Okay shooter, but has a very good basketball IQ. And said tenacious defender. So
he's got instincts, man. Obviously the great athlete, 3-sport state champion, but I think the instincts is underrated because when you watch him in basketball and football, it's not like he's an athlete playing football. Look at how he takes it off the bounce. Like he knows what he's doing out there playing football, playing safety, playing receiver. Like he's got a nice feel, which apparently he also has in basketball as well. I think he's gonna do this year run. 50. What do you see with Fitzgerald?
Oh man, some of what Pete was saying with the corner, because that's why I definitely see him as a corner. And we didn't get J-Rock, but he bring what J-Rock do too, like with the special teams, kick return, punt return. Like he does a dynamic athlete.
And you're talking about Jabari Flowers right now.
Right. Who went to Florida.
Yep.
My condolences. But but yeah, it's just on some Bryce Fitzgerald, he just he one of the ones. Like he high key can play both sides. It's crazy because you see what type of players we recruiting. Like when you look at Jontavious Wyman, he could play both sides, and he doing some of this too. What Bryce Fitzgerald doing now, he ain't as special as Bryce Fitzgerald because Bryce Fitzgerald just was a ball hawk.
Yeah, a little bigger too.
Yeah.
Bryce is. He's long arms. He's taller than I think people realize, and you see him. I'm gonna be a little bit like D Money here. I'm not gonna make an exact comparison, but you see him with the ball in his hands, looking like Ed Reed, trying to score every time he gets it. He has those instincts and doesn't lose speed in and out of his breaks. Right, and he's an impressive athlete, man. I'm both sides. I see some of the suggestions. I think return game and then get him focused on either corner or safety defensively. I think potentially could be more of a help this year at safety. maybe, but could he work himself into that forced safety spot, D?
I don't think he's going to play safety. I don't see the physicality. Okay. I think corner to me, potentially wide receiver. You see him here playing wide receiver. The one thing that separates him from the guys we brought in, obviously Josh Moore's a big guy, really big. Dalen Upshaw has solid speed. I would compare him to like an Allen Hurns. That's my comp for Dalen Upshaw. And then Malachi Toney is a superstar waiting to happen. But I would say if I don't say weakness is the wrong word, but I would not say Malachi Toney's not like a Santana Moss. Like he's not a 4-3 kind of runner. At least that's not what I've seen from him. I see more of a guy that knows how to play and is just incredibly high IQ with Malachi. Mm-hmm. If Fitzgerald plays wide receiver, let's say he's not physical enough to play corner, and you put him a receiver, he's going to have the most speed at that position, I think, of really anybody on the team right now, right? Maybe Keenan Marion for now, but really of the young guys, there's not a true speedster at wide receiver.
Right.
JoJo's more of a football speed kind of guy, change of speed guy.
Right.
Bryce Fitzgerald ran 10.8. He ran a 4.4 laser. I think he ran a 10.6 win aided. So this guy can run all day on top of just having that natural football movement too. So if you need to add that big play threat at receiver, this is somebody I think that could do it. And he has enough size to play there. He's not like a slot only. He could be outside. He's 5'11", whatever, 180. And, so I think that's one option for him. But I agree with you guys that right here playing corner, as you see him playing corner, look at him play the ball, man. He's right to intercept that. That I think is going to be his best use. What we're seeing right here, these very limited corner clips, because why do you have a guy like this playing corner in high school? But look at that, man. That was a nice rep, changing directions.
Yeah,
and then this right here, day one.
Oh, yeah.
Kick return is against St. Thomas Aquinas. They got some pretty good athletes there. Look at that, man.
Yeah, man.
And he could do that in college year one, I think. And then punt return, Keenan Marion, the guy we brought from BYU, is All-America kick returner, 200 pounds. He's ready to rock, but he's not a punt returner. He's only a kickoff returner. So I think Fitzgerald can do both.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Scott, who we got, the DB from Auburn, Houston, whatever. He could do punt return. I seen him do it.
Yeah, he was the best punt return in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Keontae Scott
taking a snap at quarterback there.
Yeah, we the Miami Yankees. I like that. I'm glad they said that.
That was a nice catch right there.
Yeah,
like he adjusted to the ball, he took the hit. Like he looks good at receiver. It's not like he's out there. This is what we need to see. If that's the best hit on your highlight reel, we've been watching this highlight reel for about 8 minutes now, and that's the best hit I've seen. That's, if I'm being honest, that's a concern here.
Yeah, but receiver, yeah, we know he could do that. Corner, I believe he could do corner. I really do. He got, like you said, the change of direction, the size, all that.
Yeah, it's funny because when Deion Bush obviously,
look at that.
Yeah, Deion obviously came out of Columbus too, and they were kind of playing him similarly, where they played Deion as like a deep safety, and then every now and then would play him at corner. But they're different players. Deion was way more physical. I think Bryce is more instinctual in the passing game. As a deep free safety. But yeah, man,
Deion Bush wouldn't have the ball in his hands at Columbus that I could recall.
No.
Kevin Dennis, I couldn't agree with this point more. By the way, almost 1,500 on, 50 brings numbers, man. What can you say? 1,500. Remember, like and subscribe to this show. Kevin Dennis saying, when Miami's great, they score non-offensive touchdowns. Must get back to that. I could not agree with this more. And the only way you're doing that is to put talented guys like this on defense. That's the only way it's going to happen. Jontavius Wyman, you mentioned him earlier. That's the only way that you're going to get some of these non-offensive touchdowns. OJ Frederic, who is a receiver that switched to corner. I think he's going to score a touchdown before it's all said and done. Zechariah Poyser was a receiver. You can maybe see him score a touchdown before it's all said and done.
Ethan O'Connor,
he scored a touchdown last year for Washington State.
Yeah.
Charles Brantley, I believe, has scored touchdowns before in college and returns, and he was a quarterback, I want to say, at Venice. So you got to get some of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you definitely do. And that's another thing. That's what I like. We getting back to them athletes being on Miami again. Okay, we were really just getting by on reputation. Like, I done seen our players getting burnt, and they're like, man, he must be fast. He burning Miami players, and they just don't know. Man, we wasn't getting the speed like how we used to, man. We just wasn't. But now we getting back to it with a Fitzgerald, Wyman, Hill, and other players.
Yeah, man. That's why I love Derek Cooper on offense. I know that one's not going to happen, but if it's me, I remember Sean Taylor setting the touchdown record in Florida that Derrick Henry broke like a decade later,
Right.
more than a decade later. So, to me, that's kind of what I was raised on. And Antrell Roll, Philip Buchanan, those guys were all really good on offense. They could have easily played offense. So, just because someone can be good on offense doesn't mean they have to play offense.
Right.
But with Bryce, it's going to come down to the tackling.